to order a regular meeting of the Board of Education, October 22nd, 2019 at 7 o'clock p.m. Kathy, could you please call the roll?
Blakely. Here. Drummond.
Here.
Gaspar.
Here.
Locke. Lowe.
Present.
Meadows. Michael.
Here. All right. I would like to ask that we're going to honor a moment of silence for Scott Larson, one of our teachers who recently passed away. And after that moment, then we'll start with the pledge.
Please stand. I'm doing my short moment of silence, sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Amen. You threw me off when everybody wasn't standing.
Sorry, right. All right, Dr. Richards, is there any items to be added to or removed from the agenda?
There are not.
All right, then I am super excited to invite Chris Milka and the Watchdogs program from Hoover Woods School up.
I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity. And John, I think you broke the ice for our little student friends over here to make it a nice little meeting here. So thank you. I know you can usually hear me speak, so I'm going to quickly turn it on over. We have 4 of our watchdogs over here, which is absolutely wonderful for them to actually give us their time and sacrifice their time for tonight. And they brought a couple of our students over. So I'm going to turn it over to our top dog, Ryan Korn, who has done a nice revamping of our overall watchdog program.
All right, hello. I appreciate the time to be able to brag a little bit with the kids and the dads that are helping. I was actually a JV family. That's where I kind of ran into Mr. Milka and was involved there, and then we moved into the Hoover territory, and I wanted to get involved in it, and from our kind of relationship from that, and Aaron Kilberg does a fantastic job at JV with the Watchdogs program, so I kind of learned it from him, and then at Hoover they didn't really have anything established, so I started kind of taking it over. This is our 3rd year. First year we started the semester like in January and just had 1 or 2 days, and a lot of it was me trying to talk to people, explain like just show up and we're going to do these pack days, and that was just kind of an intro. Last year we started gaining some steam. We had about 43 dads and grandfathers and uncles that were volunteering, and this year we're up to 78. That's on my go-to. We released the dates this year, and I thought I did something wrong because the email like exploded back to me. But it was all the dads that were signing up like immediately, so now there's some urgency. A lot of it's the pressure from the little ones that are like, when are you going to show up and be a watchdog? You know, like, but it's been a great program. The kids really enjoy it. A lot of the enthusiasm from the fathers is what's making it a good community to do that. It also gives them a reason to see all the hard work that the teachers put in. A lot of them are like, and the staff that helps out, you know, they go out in recess and like, dear God, what's going on here, you know, and they see that in the classroom as well, and there's like 24 kids running in different directions, and you're just there to help out for a little bit. It gives them a new appreciation for the teacher staff as well. So I'll let them talk about some of their individual experiences, and then the kids as well.
Yeah, I'm Tim Oka. Thanks for inviting us tonight. I have 3 kids at Hoover Woods, a 4th grader, a 1st grader, and a kindergartner. I've been doing it since I first got to the school and saw a big improvement just in the structure that Ryan put in and Mr. Milka put in right off the bat. And it's just a great time to get into school, get to know the kids that are in my kids' class, and get to wander around and meet the other teachers within the school.
Ed Molitor, I have one in Hoover Wood right now. It's Maddie. She is a 2nd grader. Say hi, Maddie.
Yeah.
Okay. A little bit nervous. It's an awesome program. You know, not only do you get to go and take a break and spend the day with your child, but to see what the teachers do and to see kind of the cadence and the rhythm that the teachers go through teaching them and connecting with them. So then when you're at home at night with them, talk about their day, you kind of get a feel, and you get to know their friends a little bit, which is awesome. So we have a lot of fun with it, and there's definitely a little bit of pressure in our house. Correct? Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
My name is Dan Greenwood. I have a granddaughter that goes to Hooverwood, and she's been going there since kindergarten. So I've kind of been involved in this this is my 5th year going there. I go 2 or 3 times a year for the watchdog things, and I also go there for the for lunchrooms. You know, I like to have lunch with her. What I really like, and she does, is that, you know, when we walk through the halls, we always give everybody high fives, you know, low fives. We have fun with it, and we see these kids, you know, since kindergarten, and they're growing, and now they're in 5th grade, and they're kind of running the school. They think, oh, we're running this school, you know. But it's fun to watch the kids, you know, from kindergarten to progress up. And when we do out for lunch all the time, Mr. Mecca, he's out there with the kids too. I mean, he does a great job, and Ryan has made this so easy to get on the, you know, when we go on the website to pick a day we want. I mean, it's you know, the last couple of years, it's big help what Ryan has done. So I just applaud both of them because they really have. The kids all love it.
Let's hear from the kids.
Yeah, I didn't introduce my 2. I've got 2 of the 3 here. One of my daughters is at dance right now, but this is Audrina. She's a kindergartner. Very excited. And this is Braden. He's a 4th grader. So go ahead. What's a good? What's your favorite thing about Watchdogs?
Because they help us.
She's had one day, and we helped out with the Hooverwood Watchdog, so she's new to the program. All right, Braden.
I really like Watchdogs because not only is it a big help for the teachers, but it's also a lot of fun for the kids. The program has really grown, me and my dad were talking earlier about how much it growed. It used to be people would just come in, and now we have like a whole little online website, and everything is so organized. Now even in doing the walkathon, or Hooverwood calls it the Hawk Walk, we even this year had like stand and with people holding signs and pom-poms and everything. I feel like Watchdogs is not only fun, but it makes school a better place.
I like to have the Watchdogs at school because they get to meet our best friends, and then they can help us a lot.
I like about Watchdogs that we get to see other people's dads and help out in class.
Nice. What do you like about Watchdogs? Oh, I'm sorry. You want to say something?
Like,
You know the program too.
Yeah.
We did.
Go ahead. I don't know what you're going to say. Manny, what do you like about
I like
Watchdogs?
about Watchdogs that our parents get to see what we do a lot.
Good job, Robbie.
And what my little brother likes about Watchdogs is he gets to play tag with them.
Yes, we are professional cops and robbers. Professional.
It keeps us on our toes for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we did a really nice job revamping it. I mean, Chris could attest to it that we always had our doors open, that if any parent wanted to come on in, we're like, okay, here's a quick little agenda. They go into classroom, they spend time, but sometimes we're just sitting on the back aspect of it, just watching it. Now, we're able to actually generate the agendas. The teachers actually plan activities that they actually check in with the students, run little groups, or just even be that mentor to some of the other families that don't have the opportunity. It's a really good way just to get more of that male population inside our elementary program. So.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Good job. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for carrying on the tradition.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for
Thank
the
you
time.
guys for coming.
I know we'll get them home so they can go to sleep.
After the recruit.
Oh, yes.
The next section that we're going to move to is public comments. I know we have 2 pink sheets already. Was there anybody else in the audience who wanted to address the public?
No, actually.
All right, or excuse me, address the board. Then when you address the board, we're going to ask that you come and sit at the table so that we can hear you well. And I would like to invite Sylvia Pellick.
Yeah, that's me. Welcome. Good evening. My name is Sylvia Pellick, and I've been a Batavia resident for 12 years. I'm also a member of the group Mom Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. I have 2 children. They are currently a senior and a freshman at Batavia High School. I'm here tonight to thank the school board for all that you do for our schools and our community, and furthermore for sending a delegate. In particular, I think Mr. Lowe is going to go to the Illinois Association of School Board on November 23rd to cast no votes on Resolution 1 and 3, which encourage the arming of teachers and staff in our schools. Last year, the resolution on arming teachers was defeated by only 24 votes. So the input of our district is essential. Just briefly, the Resolution 1 is if Resolution 1 is approved, the Illinois Association of School Board will advocate for legislation permitting school board to develop plans that train and license faculty and administrators to carry a firearm in school while students are present. If Resolution 3 is passed, the Illinois Association of School Board will fund grants for district to hire school resource officer or security personnel who will carry firearm in the school. Most school resource officers are not even trained to deal with children. We are very fortunate in our highly trained 20 years police force experience high school resource officer Howie, whose professional but approachable demeanor makes him a reassuring presence in our high school, not a threatening one. Besides these points, we can all agree that we want to keep our children safe at school. School safety expert, teachers, many law enforcement, and our medical professionals all agree that arming teachers and bringing more guns in our school is not the answer. Independently from age, access to firearm, triple risk of death by suicide and double risk of death by homicide. With more guns in school, we can expect tragic unintentional shootings. In conclusion, thank you again for all you do, for your time, and to oppose any effort that would harm staff and teachers in the future. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and I'd like to invite Patty Lackman. You are speaking for a group tonight, so we've granted you 5 minutes.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I don't think I will take anywhere near 5 minutes because I am just repeating a lot of information. I am here representing the League of Women Voters of Central Kane County and the League of Women Voters of Illinois. I am Patty Lackman, and I am a resident of Batavia longer than Sylvia, 1979. And I have one child who went all the way through Batavia schools and now is a kindergarten teacher in Chicago and is on strike. And I would have worn red, but just in support, because they have 35 kids in their class, full day kindergarten with no aid. So, I'm here to voice my opinion and that of the League of Women Voters of both Illinois and Central Kane County over our concern about the potential dangerous consequences of 2 Illinois Association of School Board resolutions that are recommended for adoption at their November meeting. And I know that we did not come last year to speak to you. I know you guys did. We are joining forces with Moms Demand Action and several other groups in asking you to vote no for the resolutions. Resolution 1 is to provide local school boards the option to decide if they will allow for properly trained staff to be armed in school buildings. Resolution number 3 is to establish school safety grants So school districts can hire school resource officers, SROs, who may carry firearms, provided that they receive appropriate training. They have not decided what the appropriate training will be, which is scary all by itself. There's no evidence to show that arming personnel within a school increases school safety. These actions are contrary to conclusions of a 2015 New England Journal of Medicine evidence-based peer review study, which indicated that guns do not make communities safer, but rather contribute to the rise in gun-related suicides and homicides in our country. We cannot risk introducing firearms into our schools. In fact, we should be working to keep guns out of our schools. I have some fact sheets that I'm happy to leave for you that the League of Women Voters in Illinois and the National League have put together with specific information about the need to not arm people, teachers in schools. Having been a former employee of the Illinois Department of Corrections, I will tell you that they don't even arm people inside prisons. Only the perimeter people are armed. So obviously, there's something to not having guns available for people. I would ask that you let us know if you are planning on voting. I'm hoping that you are sending a representative to the IASB conference. Is it you, Chris?
Yep.
Okay, good. One hopefully on our side. And I would ask that in the future that you guys insist that the IASB recommendations actually be data-based, utilizing evidence-based, peer-reviewed research. When I reviewed the resolutions and the people that made the resolutions and the rationale used, I was kind of surprised. There are no people on the resolutions committee closer than Sycamore. That's the closest school district, Bolingbrook, and then everybody else is in central or southern Illinois. So their issues are probably a lot different than ours. But I think it's going to be up to the metro Chicago area to kind of swing the vote. As Sylvia said, 24 votes last year. And that's kind of scary when you read that there are really no provisions for specific training for people to carry firearms. So, thank you for the opportunity to comment, and I don't know if I should just leave these with you guys, or I can do this. So there's two, one on each resolution.
Drop in the Kathy so you can make sure that.
And if there are any questions, I'll be here for a little while. Do we know, have you guys made a decision on the vote?
The resolutions are on our discussion agenda tonight.
Okay, well, then we'll get shortly. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Betty. All right, Olivia, you're soloing tonight, I see.
I am, yeah. Joe had a band concert, even though he broke his arm, so he can't play. Or no, his thumb. He broke his thumb.
But it is part of your grade.
Yes. So he's there, and then if you skip to the day, I think it's 4 slides. Yeah, there. So first off, varsity cross country, specifically the girls team, was Duquesne Conference champs as of Saturday. So there is the varsity team. And then also, Kyle Wolford, as you all probably know, got a perfect 36 on his ACT last year. And then another kid in my class of 2020, got a 36, Devin O'Toole. He's pictured right there. He was also one of the National Merit Scholars from last meeting. And to go on top of that, we just started second term yesterday, so there's new term classes and new opportunities. And then we have our last home football game this Friday against Wheaton-Warrenville North. And that's going to be this Friday on the 25th. And then on the 7th of November, we're having the second Duquesne Student Leadership Conference, and that's going to be taking place at St. Charles East. I'm actually going to be going to that along with other student council members and presidents of other clubs, and that's just a place where the student leaders can talk about what they think that their schools do well, what they think they can improve upon, and it's always like a good place to get ideas, and we always take things from it. And then this was Joe's slide, so it has more like marching band stuff. But they competed at Lincoln Way High School on the 12th, and then on the 19th they had a competition at ISU. And on the 23rd they're having a community performance at 8 p.m. So if you guys want to go watch the marching band, you can go do that. And then tonight is the band concert, and followed by the orchestra concert tomorrow, and then the choir concert on Thursday. And then the school play is November 7th through November 9th, and that's Mamma Mia. And I know that they're working really, really hard on that. So if you guys want to go to the BFAC that night, you'll be able to see the production. For sure.
Super exciting. It's a lot going on. Is your senior year flying by?
It is. It's crazy to think the first term's already done.
I know.
It's crazy. But yeah, it'll be good.
All right, thank you, Liliana.
Thank you.
All right, board member oh, I'm sorry, let's invite Todd first. See, I gotta forget one of you guys. Todd Swanson, PEA president.
I know you didn't forget me.
I did forget you.
Hi everyone.
Hey Dad.
Happy October, and next week is November. I'll echo the same thing. I can't believe how fast the year is going by. And I just want to say thank you for taking the moment of silence for Scott Larson. Just so everyone knows, not only was he a member of the BEA, but he actually was part of the BPS family since 1998. So he's an institution in Batavia. So our sympathy goes out to his family, and I appreciate you taking that moment of silence. A couple of things up from our last meeting. The board liaison building information was shared out at our exec board meeting last month, so all the buildings know who the liaisons are, and they get the full understanding that, you know, the board members do have other things going on. So availability during the day and things like that, I think there's a lot of understanding with that now, but a commitment on the teacher's part is to invite the building liaisons in their buildings, to send them pictures, especially if there's something ahead of time that's like a building tradition. If you know about it far enough ahead of time, you might be able to finagle your schedule just to go to some of those events. So I think that's a really good common understanding now between the BEA and the school board about a major role of the liaisons for the school board members. So thank you for your work on that. Since the last time we met, our contract has been signed and ratified, and all of our meetings are done. So we're putting things into place right now. And so the past month has just been a lot of partnership work between the BEA and administration in getting some new things from this bargain up and running. BPSU is something that's new and exciting. And we've been working really hard in getting that going, and the first cadre has been notified, and so that's an exciting new venture as part of this last bargain for us. We've been working really closely with insurance, and there's a lot of changes that came as a result of this last bargain, and I don't think, and Tony and Steve, everyone can agree, these were all joint partnerships, and it would not have been as successful an implementation is if we weren't working so well together. So just the partnerships that we are forging going forward, I think, are really, really awesome. District committees are off and running. We are actually hosting for BEA members that are on district committees an information session about, you know, your role on a district committee, your, you know, reporting back the open communication from your job on the committee back to the BEA. So lots of great work in that partnership range that we're working on together. And also, we kind of resurrected something that kind of fell off last year, but the BEA leadership is meeting with senior management on a monthly basis now again. Last month we had a lot of great information shared. We had a lot of action items moving forward that were resolved. We're meeting again tonight. So there's just this spirit of partnership that's really, really great from all the things that we've been working on together. And the only last thing that I have, and I kind of feel bad that we didn't bring this up before, but speaking of insurance, we have a great insurance team now, but we also had a member who was on the insurance committee for 35 years that this year decided that she was going to step off of the insurance committee and let some other folks come on in her place. But Kayla Jenkins, who is a teacher at Louise White, was on the insurance committee for 35 years. So that just is flooring to me, and we owe her a debt of gratitude for the job that she did looking out for the membership on insurance and, you know, keeping the district's interest best in mind. She asked great questions. She was thought-provoking, she was probing, and her leadership on that committee will surely be missed. So I just want to make sure we take a second to recognize her for her years of service. So, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sarah. That was awesome. All right, let's start with committees. John, you want to start tonight?
I was going to say Sue's going to do all of my talking, but since she's not here, I can't return that favor. Since she always does it to me, right? No, the only thing I have is the Hall of Honor. You can start nominating individuals for the Hall of Honor. Nominations are out, and we are looking for many. It's on the school district website. And you have until the end of January to get it in. So hopefully you will nominate someone, or don't put it off, because I hear people say, I'm going to nominate someone, and then they put it off and put it off. And so if you think about it, do it right then and there. That's all I have.
Matt again. It is a very productive committee, and we had some great results with a survey that went out to the staff members to kind of gather what they want to learn about and what would be most applicable for their classrooms. So we're working on putting together what we're going to do with that data and make sure that we can provide training that's most relevant to them. And we've already had some staff members come in and present some ideas to us, and they'll be seeing those soon.
Very cool. I missed insurance because I didn't feel good last week. I'm assuming we're finalizing everything from June. Super exciting. Todd hit on that, so nothing particularly new, just continuing that hard work that they're doing.
The stipend committee hasn't met, but we meet next week, so next meeting.
I had CAC, which was very exciting. I'm still trying to grasp everything that they do, and it's amazing the amount of stuff, both the innovative stuff that we're doing and the progress that we're making towards the classroom of tomorrow. So I'm just very amazed at the work that they do, and I'm glad to be an observer of it. But I'm still trying to get my bearings. But we constantly have updates about the changes to our curriculum, so I'm sure Brad will keep us informed on that. I also had capital improvements, which we have an update coming up soon, so I won't beat that one, but basically we decided what we have for the next year with the project. So.
Awesome. And Craig is unable to make it tonight, but he did say he was at the last RAC meeting, which was also a learning curve for him, but he's really excited to be on there, and they're doing good work.
Very cool.
Update.
So lots of good stuff going on in the district. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda, which is our opportunity to vote on a number of just routine business items, all under one vote. All of the details are included in the board book. So Mr. Pierce will take us through the consent agenda.
All right, here we go. 5.1 and 5.2 is the approval of the September 24th, 2019 regular meeting and closed session minutes. 5.3 is the approval of the September 30, 2019 special meeting minutes. 5.4, our monthly personnel report. 5.5, our monthly payroll and bills. 5.6, destruction of our closed session recordings from March 30th, 2018 and April 17th, 2018. 5.7, we had one significant donation. We had an anonymous donation of $4,500, which are gifting 3 separate $1,500 dance scholarships. 5.8 is our school report card. 5.9 are all of the many overnight field trip requests. 5.10 is the approval of our insurance broker contract for the next several years. 5.11 is the authorization to begin development of the FY21 budget. And then lastly, 5.12 is the approval of this consent agenda.
So are there any items for clarification or removal? No? All right, then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gaspar, second by Blakely. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our next section is rather lengthy. We have a number of reports that we're going to be discussing tonight.
Right, there are 9 reports here. The first 2 are 2 reports that you see every month, so I would entertain any questions that you had about the treasurer's report for this month.
No, because it's the same one Tony shares with us.
Exactly. And then the next report is the IASB Delegate Assembly. And just to put some context down there, which I think our the people
people who talked during public comment today have a good grasp on it, but just to make sure that we understand the context here. So IASB is the Illinois Association of School Boards, and it is the organization, the umbrella organization for all the school boards in Illinois. There's over 800 school boards, and they don't really have any legislative abilities to change any laws that are out there, but what they can do is have an opinion. So what they do is we send a delegate, this year it's Chris, and it has been for the past several years, to go and tell IASB how we want them to take a position. So they can't actually make these laws, but they can go to as an organization to the legislature and say, this is what we believe as an organization. So they have a list of 12 different resolutions and position statements, and Chris will go in and say, 18, it was 18, okay. Yep, you're right. And Chris will go in and they also give recommendations, and Chris will go in on behalf of Batavia and say, and place a vote for each of those 18 resolutions and position statements. Just based on where we voted last year, I think that, I've had individual conversations, but we just need to make sure that, for the most part, I think Chris is prepared to just follow the IASB recommendations, other than we do want to talk about that first one, because there are a couple different sides to that. The position of being able to advocate to have the legislature change the position or the ability to for people to conceal carry in schools is there are some pros and cons, because if you're a downstate school and you don't have access to first responders, they're the ones that keep bringing this forward. I think we live in a different world here where we do have access to first responders. Some people might want to vote yes just because they do want to make it a local decision, even though I haven't heard anybody think it's a good decision for Batavia. But that is the one that I know we wanted to probably go against the recommendation, but I'll turn it over to Kathy to take a roll.
Yeah, I think we wanted to confirm that the first resolution was the only one that we had numerous people against the IASB position, but I do know that there's a possibility that somebody might want to speak to support the IASB position, so I didn't want to throw that out there. I think we had some mixed opinions on that.
Well, I know, Chris, you said that you were going to support everything but the first one. Is that my understanding?
That is my plan, but obviously I'm going to vote the way that our board decides that we want to vote.
Okay. And I had my meeting with Lisa yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Gotta remember. So I talked to her, and I was on the fence on this for a while, from last year even, and I'm going to just give you a reason. I would be in support for the IASB Illinois State Associated School Board to go ahead with it, even though I would be against it personally if it came to us as a school board. The reason why I would support it is because I've seen in the last number of years a lot of things have been directed to us, and I believe a lot of school boards have lost some of their authority of controlling what they can and can't do. And one of the prime examples is we get a lot of bills and stuff that are unfunded mandates, which we have no say, we have to just follow. But one of the biggest ones that came out a couple years ago was Senate Bill 100. Basically came out of Chicago, basically about discipline and stuff. That then we all had to follow. Yeah, we were doing a good job ourselves, but we were dictated basically to change all this. I don't like the fact that if I vote on something that is going to affect someone 200 miles away from me that might have a different concern. Like I said, I don't like the fact that guns would be in the school. Okay, I taught for 30 some years. Okay, if you have a police officer, that's one thing. But I would like to still see it so that the school boards have their own say in each of the matters. So, and for that reason alone, I would say, I would go with how they say support it. But if they ever came back to us, I would vote against it, okay? So I'm just trying to make it where I stand on one thing, but how I'm supporting that other thing, just so there's a clarification on it. And you can take it however you want from that. But I just believe that sometimes as a school board, I think we'll start losing more and more control of what we want to do in our own school district. You know, so that's just how I look at it.
So what we thought we'd do is just pull the board, and then Chris could run with the majority, if that's all right?
No, that's fine. I mean,
Yeah. No, and I appreciate the earnestness of where you're coming from, John. That helps us to understand the context. Aaron, for the first one, the IASB's position is to adopt that they could advocate for this. Where do you stand on that?
Do not adopt.
Do not adopt.
Although I really appreciate what John said and I understand and agree, but I'm going to vote for no to adopt this.
And I want to echo what John said also. I am a strong believer in as much autonomous control at the local level as possible. However, I also know that we have to send our kids to other districts. And when we send them, we don't have control over where they have guns and how they implement that. And so out of concern for the safety of the kids within this district, I don't want to put them in a situation where there may be guns and we don't have any control of for how those people were trained and what the situation is. I know that way too many accidents happen. We've seen it happen recently in Texas, and I don't want to be responsible for that. So for that reason, I would prefer to vote against that autonomy because of the potential risk that we put our own children at.
And regardless, the thought of teachers and staff having guns in our schools is so abhorrent to me. Absolutely, I do not support this. Other than that, I am comfortable because of the autonomy that John talked about with the rest of the resolutions and the IASB's position on them as we have laid out for all of us and we had a chance to see. Were there any of the other resolutions that you guys wanted to discuss?
well, I was opposed on a couple others, but if everyone wants to support the rest of them, I'm fine. It basically had to do with the school board elections and things. I mean, why change things? I mean, throughout the whole state and all that. I just don't. Again, it's another
controlling. Right.
Yeah, I mean, so it's coming down to that again. So
Okay.
why? So I look at it as here we go again. So
Right.
I agree. Although, again, I would like to remind everybody that these resolutions are for topics that the IASB is going to lobby for.
Right.
So they don't have the ability to just say like, oh, we're going to do this. These are things that they will go out and support as an organization.
Now, the only thing that I did want to clarify is, that was brought up earlier, is resolution number 3, which is encouraging grants for the schools that live in areas where they are too far away or have not been able to get resource officers, and basically that they would lobby for grants to get resource officers in those schools that are not serviced by first responders that can respond in an adequate amount of time. I understand that may be putting guns in the school, but it seems like it's a much more controlled situation where you actually have professionals who...
They're law enforcement.
Yeah, they're law enforcement, and it's the same situation that we have at the high school.
Yeah, it would be, the resolution says off-duty law enforcement or retired law enforcement.
So, based on how it's written, I would prefer that solution toward, rather than a situation where we may not have professional knowledge. So I figure that is a reasonable compromise.
Right. And the fact that the grant is going towards districts that don't have the first responders available. All right, any other discussion on those? Okay, so you have your marching orders.
Yeah, we went through earlier.
You got it. You got it written down? No.
All of them written down. The only one that we are going against is the first one. So
Okay.
thank you for your input.
All right.
The next 3 reports, we can just turn over to Brad for those 3.
Sure, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. These are all, you'll see these annually as reports updating according to your board policy about our EL program, about our counseling and advising program, and then about the school report card, which is a function of your policy on school accountability. instead of kind of going through the material that you received on all 3 of those, I was just going to kind of highlight for the public and for the board how the public can access information on the school report card when it becomes live at the end of this month. So at the end of October, the state will update the school report cards, and parents can find those in the community and find those online. So if you just Google Illinois report card, you're able to find this site, and then Holly's demonstrating here by typing in Batavia. And they cleaned this up quite a bit, which is nice. You can find Batavia. Any of our schools.
Why is Davis Primary showing up in Batavia?
And then this is what the report card looks like. We have one for the district and then one for each of our schools. The school report card has significantly changed over the past couple of school years of different assessments and different data that the state collects and then puts out to the public. One of the most significant changes was about they gave schools kind of a rating of exemplary, commendable, underperforming, and lowest performing. So that is something that the public will have access to, but you can compare schools and take a look at our schools in great detail about our academic progress, about our teachers, and about our students, who they are, and what they do. That's all the information that the state collects and publishes to everybody in a very transparent fashion. So I can't really talk to you about any updates because that information is embargoed and this is a public meeting. But as soon as that becomes available on the 31st, the public can go in and access that. Throughout the course of probably the year, we'll highlight a couple of pieces of information, but it's right there at your fingertips as soon as it's released.
Can I point out that at least last year we had 91% teacher retention, which I pulled up like 4 tabs and compared to a couple other districts, and we had the highest.
People love,
Just
or wouldn't you
saying.
love working in this district? It's a great district. So
I think we have really good union leadership, and I think we have really good administration, and that combination has
partnership. That's right.
That
People love
partnership.
partnership. So it's a great resource for the public to take a look at our schools and to know what's going on, and I would encourage them to do so once that becomes updated on the 31st with the 2019 data. But I'd be happy to take any questions on the school report card or the counseling advisory report or the EL report if you have them.
That counseling report was amazing.
Yeah, you see our counselors, they're really, the ASTA model has really helped them to categorize their work and take a look at how we can prepare kids for college and career.
I was going to just echo the same thing. I was very pleased to see all the information that was given to us. So,
But not just college and career. There's a lot more that
the social emotional domain is huge with them, and working with our other related service providers is a huge piece of that. Our counselors are really a lot of our tier 1 instruction around social and emotional learning, which is a huge piece, because if we don't make sure that kids have common information and skill building, then it's difficult in adolescence to cope with the things that will come at you during that developmental time. So we want to build skills, resiliency skills in our students and coping skills, so that when things do happen, and they will, that they're able to cope with them and we don't go to crisis with everything. So the counselors do a lot of work with our tier 1 curriculum, and it's hugely important to our system.
Is this report on our website? Do you have to dig on our website, or is it like on the front page? Like, is this something that can be highlighted?
Yes.
I think it should be highlighted. Because you always hear, one bad apple kind of spoils the whole bunch, and I know we do so much for these students, not just career and college development. It goes, and I think this should be recognized.
Yeah, they do great work.
And the demands of our counselors have changed so much over the last few years. And I feel like our organization has done an amazing job of shifting with these new expectations and really looking to support our students. And they wear some really different hats and do it really well. So that's really impressive.
Absolutely.
I feel like that should have been under our celebration.
Brad, do you know by chance, just out of curiosity more than anything else, on the language, how many kids come in to Batavia on a yearly basis with no English at all? Is it probably just a handful?
Very few.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're probably less than 20.
Okay.
District-wide.
I was just looking at all the numbers. I was just wondering what, no English at all.
Yeah, we have some newcomers, very few. Other districts that's a more profound issue for them.
So I was
but
just, okay.
In Batavia, we have very few newcomers to our program.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
The projects is
Mark.
Oh, Mark's here. Hi, Mark. We haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks. It's a nice vacation.
Welcome back. You're welcome for us giving you a little time to do your regular job before we.
As Chris mentioned earlier in the committee updates, we did meet as a capital projects committee. We really focused on fiscal year 2021, and we've been, I would say, talking about this as a committee for a number of years now, and we actually have in progress. The Building Our Future Together is on its way, and I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later for an update. So we decided as a committee not to really look past fiscal year 2021. Now, in Appendix B from this report, you do see there is FY 2022, 23, 24. We didn't add anything to 24. 22 and 23 are the same from what we talked about last year. So we really focused our efforts on looking at, basically, it's 5 projects. As you can see, and the projects are basically at 2 elementary schools, McWayne and Hooverwood playground replacement. Those are original playgrounds. They definitely need to be replaced. And then another, I would say another larger one would be, the largest one would be at the high school, both the main gym and the middle gym, the floors being replaced. And those are 94, I believe. So those are, obviously it's, good. I remembered that. And it's more than just the floors, so when you get in there and you're taking out a floor, it really makes the most sense to really take care of everything. So painting, the floors adjacent to that, so it encompasses more than just the floor, which the floor is over 50%, or actually probably 75% of that cost. So really it's a short report tonight. Other things is at Rotolo, air handlers there, which I know when I start talking HVAC lingo here, anyways, air handlers are what control larger spaces like your gyms, libraries, cafeterias, those type of things. Those are 2 original to the building. So again, as the buildings get older, we want to try to stay as close to updating them and within their life expectancy. And all of these that you see for next year have exceeded their life expectancy, and there are more that have, but these are the top of the list.
When would these start taking place to get work done?
The actual construction is for summer of 2020.
For summer of 2020?
So this summer coming up.
So let's say for the gym floor at the high school, that would get done in that time?
Correct.
And would it be, I'm assuming, well, I shouldn't assume anything. Is there any better material to last longer, or is it going to be about the same, to last about the same amount?
It's about the same with wood floors.
Okay.
As long as you take care of them, and we have, basically it's just taking them down and sealing them. We've done that. Well, I can speak for the time I've been here, but it's every other year we try to do that.
Right, okay.
And really with this one, know anything about the high school and how much that gym is used?
Right.
Really this planning they started last year to hopefully get this done in the summer, meaning moving camps around and performances around, and I mean, you name it. This is already, because they're already planned into the summer. So it's finding other locations for them, kind of moving it around town to mainly, more than likely, the middle school, but it's busy. I mean, that place is busy 12 months out of the year.
Would you say the field house has helped?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
wear and tear on that gym floor?
Maybe a little, but really it's just used by more people in Batavia and outside of Batavia for different teams that are coming in and playing and things like that. So it might have helped a little bit, but probably not a lot. It's just as you get bigger and things and more space, if you build it, they will come. So.
Thank you.
That field house floor will be on the list relatively soon also.
Correct.
So the one thing that I will emphasize coming out of this meeting and this presentation is if we want to handle some of our bigger ticket items going forward, we probably want to make this budget bigger. Otherwise, we're going to have to come up with alternative financing to handle those things down the road if we do not save for them. So I think that is something that we as a board want to be cognizant of and thinking about.
You'll notice that the commitment in 2021 is $200,000 more than the commitment in 2020. You were paying close attention to the budget that the board adopted last month. So the recommendation coming out of the Capital Projects Committee is to continue to increase that allocation modestly. Although we have reason to believe, just benchmarking, that this is insufficient in terms of the square footage and condition of the buildings that the board owns. So this is what we can plan on and accommodate in terms of budgeting practices at present.
And that is actually something that we are doing research on, so that we will have a number saying other districts similar to ours spend this percentage of their budget on capital maintenance and improvement versus this is what we spend. But our guess is that we're low.
And we're still catching up on how many years of waiting for the...
There were a number of years of absolutely no capital projects because of our financial profile and condition. And so we've come back from, the backlog has been, we've made excellent progress and there's so much work to be done. I know that we've made good progress, but we still have more work to do. So you don't actually approve this report. You technically approve these things when you either set the budget in 2021 or you let the bids. So what will happen next is Mark will actually put these projects out to bid and move forward with them. We're doing our very best at the Capital Projects Committee and Mark and his staff to get this report to you at the time that you adopt your budget. So theoretically, hopefully next year, we'll have this report to you in September. You'll adopt the budget for that fiscal year and the capital projects for the successive year, because we need that much lead time to actually get these packages put together, put them out to bid, make sure that we get them on the schedule and get good competitive pricing. So it literally is that long of a lead time. So that's our plan, and hopefully we'll be able to stick to that.
And talking to our architects and engineers, basically we need to shoot for November to get the bids on the street. So this report will get moved up to September next year, and it will be very tight, but that is the goal. This year the goal will be December, January. It gets difficult around the holiday time, but really what we don't want is going out to bid in March, and that was a practice, probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Right. Later than that.
Well, right, sometimes later than that.
I was going to say, we've been doing this report in like January, February.
Oh,
yeah. When we were doing this in the past, so we've improved.
Mark, when might the board expect the bids for this particular outlay for 2021?
I'm hoping in the board meeting in January. Thank you.
Favorite, super exciting, thank you.
And I will walk us through the last 2 reports of the evening. The next one is policy. You can see we have 3 policies. So Those policies I'm bringing them here for a first reading. We traditionally do 2 readings with the policies. And then there are so many administrative procedures and exhibits that I think there's like 13 on this list that we need to also review. But the procedures don't get approved by the board. What our practice is that you look at those, and if you have any questions or have any suggestions, we can make any edits, but then you won't see them again because they'll just be procedures and that we put into place and put them up on the website. So let's first talk about the policies, the ones that you'll have to vote for next month. The first is transportation. This was a press recommendation from several months ago. We're just finishing up our last issue of press, getting through our last couple. There's a couple big ones in here. Transportation, it was actually a minor adjustment. So it is, we bus students who are more than 1.5 miles from their school, or if they, if there's a safety hazard along the route, and the state just made it so that if there's a pattern of criminal activity along their route to school, that's considered a safety hazard, which we don't qualify for any of those in Batavia, but we did want to make sure our policy was aligned with the law. Then the next one, hazardous infectious materials. So 4160 is the next policy, and it was expanded to talk about it. It's renamed to the environmental quality of buildings and grounds, and talks more about the environmental testing that we do, that we've always done, but our policy didn't match the press policy, including that updated title, so we wanted to update that at this time. And the third policy is brand new to Illinois, and the law takes effect on January 1st that requires this policy and some of the practices that go along with it. There are so many administrative procedures and exhibits that press is recommending that the safety team is actually wading through, and that we're not ready to put all those up on the website yet because we're trying to figure out, we have our emergency operations plan, and school violence is one small subset of that plan. So a lot of these things, these threat assessments that are now required, are things that we already do. So we're just trying to reconcile some of the paperwork. But this policy 4190 is brand new, and it basically is saying we have an emergency operations plan that covers a variety of emergencies. It could be a natural disaster, but there's a very special subset that's called school violence, and so it's its own policy now. So this policy that we would adopt is exactly the press recommendation. And like I said, we're working, Tony and the other people on the safety committee are working to reconcile some of the paperwork and the procedures that go with it. The transportation policy, there are 3 administrative procedures that are recommended by press that we don't have them adopted in this form, so I would recommend that we just take those press procedures. We outsource our transportation, so it's not necessary for us to refer to these, except for the fact that when, for example, one of them says what happens if there is a bus accident, there's a checklist that that we have to follow, and our transportation vendor does follow these, and we just want to make sure that it is that expectation, and we put that in policy, that they're following policy and the regulations set by the state. The 4160 is an administrative procedure that is a press procedure that we recommend that we just take that one, and then we replace the ones that we have that are versions of that. So we have 3 different procedures that really are just folded into this one. So we're basically 4160 aligning completely with press after these changes. 4170 is our current school safety policy, and so there's a couple APs that we'd be swapping out and making this new adjustment to splitting off violence as its own policy. And then finally, the last administrative procedure that you see there is one that we've talked a lot about partnerships with our teachers, and this one was a joint venture where the administrative procedure for using curricular materials and how do I go about and recommend and get some new curriculum materials. We needed to rewrite this procedure to make sure that there was clarity about the different types of materials we have and how each one gets approved. And so we wrote that jointly, and after this meeting tonight, unless you have any suggestions, that will go up on the website, and we will make sure there's clarity all around the organization about how to suggest and try out and pay for and approve curriculum materials. Questions?
I do, Lisa, on this 4190.
Yes.
Am I reading this, I think I'm reading it wrong, but is this a violence prevention program for our students that needs to be implemented? Or this is to train our staff? Because it says a targeted school violence prevention program, but that sounds like it's for students.
It's for everybody, really. It's for all aspects of what would be preventing violence.
So is this something similar to like what Breaking Free comes in and Mutual Ground comes in? Is this is that the kind of programs we're talking about?
It could be potentially in terms of prevention, but it's all aspects of violence. So what it's primarily directed toward is threat assessment. Mm-hmm. So if there is a threat against a school, what we're obligated to do to mitigate and prevent that from happening. But it starts with prevention in general.
Right. Okay.
First of all, so that these things don't come to fruition, and when they do, how do we mitigate the risks and how do we stop things from happening? How do we respond? So it's literally all aspects of that.
And this would be something that would be implemented at all levels?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that for my own knowledge.
Any other questions? On the policy report, is there another question? No. Okay. All right, then next month I will bring back those 3 policies for second reading and adoption, and I won't bring back all of the procedures. You can see that there were some that I didn't even mention because they were changes in numbers or deleting certain ones because we're replacing them, so there's a whole list. So thank you to Kathy Spidi, who will probably be doing nothing other than replacing procedures for the next several weeks and updating our website. All right, and then the last report of the evening is Building Our Future Together, which is our educational facility master planning process. And there are several of us here that are on the core team, and we just wanted to give an update. So since the last time we met, in October when we met, we just had our first core team meeting, and this last week we had our second core team meeting, and we're still in phase 2. So Building Our Future Together is what we've branded as the end result will be an educational master facility plan. And there's 5 different phases. So right now, phase 2, this core team of individuals has committed to about 150 hours to this project. And so we met last week, and at the end of every core team meeting, there's 23 people on the core team. It's a mixture of staff and community. We write 5 key takeaways. So the committee does them. So last week we met at Batavia High School, and we met in the LRC. We had a short tour. And this first bullet point, the first key takeaway was actually from someone who graduated from Batavia High School in the 80s. And was very surprised that parts of this building, including some of the infrastructure, has not changed. And I think people think that we have a lot of, we had some additions, but when he went through, his first comment was things are so much the same as they used to be, talking about traditional classrooms and some of the things that still exist. And the committee, the second one is the committee recognized that the physical space at the high school is pretty not flexible, but people are doing a nice job of adapting. We saw a lot of teachers adapting and trying to make the space what they needed it to be. The third bullet point that the committee wanted the community to know is that the committee wants to make sure that we saw a lot of examples of programs that didn't have enough space and students had to be turned away. The next bullet point, in these bullet points, what we're let me take a step back and say eventually the core team is going to come up with a set of parameters, criteria, guiding principles. They're coming up with a set of guiding principles so that when we do have some plans to start looking at some of those conceptual ideas, then it's not, oh, I like that one looks great. It is, I like that one because it meets all of our guiding principles. So we're in the process of developing these guiding principles. So every time we meet, we're meeting in a different building, and then we're writing some of these bullets, which will eventually turn into guiding principles that we will use to grade the different options that are brought in front of us. And then we talked a lot about stakeholder involvement in this meeting. The core team shared how they were sharing out to the rest of their constituents, the community, about the existence of the core team and how important it is that at the end of this whole year that we still have ahead of us, that as many people in the community as possible know about what we're doing to actually put this master plan together. And so we brainstormed some ideas, and people shared what they had done to get the message out about the educational facility master's plan. We have some new ideas as well. And then the committee also wanted to make sure that everybody in the community knew that when we're doing, there's a lot of hands-on activities, and when we were doing those activities, such as the strengths, challenges, opportunities, and concerns analysis, kind of like a SWOT analysis, but slightly different, that we were thinking about it from every different stakeholder group's perspective. So it wasn't, people are asked to step outside, take off their hat. If I'm a superintendent, I'm actually there thinking about, I'm putting myself in somebody else's position and trying to take everybody's ideas into consideration and their perspectives when we're doing this plan. So those were the key takeaways that the committee wanted everyone to know. They're posted on the website. There's a link to Building Our Future Together on the front page of the website. It was the first story. It's the key story when you open up our website, but we're still trying to, prior to the next community meeting, we're going to have some new strategies to try to get more community members out there.
Awesome.
And there's still a survey that's live for everybody and a video from the last presentation. All the slides are there.
Awesome. Questions? All right, I did want to hijack for a moment the meeting. Before we move to all of our comments, Tina wanted to make sure that I did not forget that we wanted to do a shout out to Holly. Ooh. Because the Batavia Chamber last month, was it in September? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Honored her with the, I know I'm going to butcher this, the Donna De La Sasse? I wasn't too far off. Yeah. Award, and we had a great opportunity to go support her and be really excited about that award. So congratulations, we're super proud to have you, and we're really glad that the Chamber was able to recognize all of you.
Thank you all so much.
Really nice things said.
I'm going to change my name to Donna. So next month, new name. Donna each time.
That'd be good. So Tina, thank you for reminding me, because I have the memory of a gnat these days. We'll start with Dr. Hitchens.
Thank you to the board. You guys had so much to read this month for this. Even though there was a while between our board meetings, I really appreciate the fact that you had to read 18 different position statements from the state, and then I followed it up with 18 different policies and procedures. So thank you for all of your time.
Yeah, and those were kind of boring. Just FYI.
So that's it for me.
All right, Chris, we'll start with your comments tonight.
Just enjoying watching all the students do all the wonderful things that they do, whether it is watching the band and the football team on Friday nights or watching the cross-country team run around in circles. It is amazing. So they have regionals this Saturday, and hopefully they will advance on from there. Fun to watch.
Super exciting. Thanks, Chris. Tina?
I don't have anything.
Erin?
I'm excited for the community marching band event tomorrow night at the high school at 8 p.m. after the orchestra concert. So hope to see a lot of people there. That's all.
Thank you. John?
just want to thank RJAC and Kathy and everybody for all the reports and everything, for keeping us updated on everything. And thank you for the speakers and all the emails we received recently on certain top subjects. So thank you.
Thanks, John. I have nothing else to add either. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Gaspar. Second by Blakely. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.